Beginning of Parshas Tazria. We have a double parsha this week, Tazria Mitzara. Beginning discusses birth. There's endless topics that could be discussed about birth from a Torah perspective and from a medical perspective, etc. People, they dedicate their entire lives to careers of childbirth, OBGYN. They're in the delivery center, It could happen anytime. You never know. One point to just mention to start out with about birth is it's a phenomenon. It's an incredible occurrence. Anyone in the medical field will say how incredible it is. In the drashos of the Ria of Shuv, Rabbi Yeshua Ibn Shuv, in our parsha, he says, "Pliya das." One thing is so wondrous that it's like the pasuk Tehillim says, "Kuf Lamed Tes Vav." It's just so amazing. One thing, and he says, "Yesira sa'uber himachus mimeni." It's covered for me. The concept of a fetus being born. Nishkava lo yuchalo. Lo uchal lahaseg abriya ku pel gadol v'chutz min hatavai. Such a phenomenon, I can't understand it. If someone wouldn't witness it, he wouldn't believe such a thing. It's like a miracle. It's a miracle. It's clear from the Mishnah in Shabbos Lamed Aleph, Shlosh Averos Nashim Meses B'Shas Lidasan, She'enin Zehiros B'Nido B'Chadlo B'Hadlokas Haner. So why, if a woman isn't careful with one of these three mitzvahs, will she pass away, specifically during childbirth? Why specifically during childbirth? She's going to get punished. They're not keeping
Wait,
the
does that mean
mitzvah of
that
Nida Chala in there.
when it says when a woman dies in childbirth, does that mean that the baby is born or not?
Yeah, it could be that both of them do. Could be that the baby's born also. Yeah, it could be because it says Nasha Mesos, which implies the baby's still born. Yeah, it's a good question. So, anyways, why specifically
Hmm.
during childbirth? So, childbirth is a time when miracles have to happen. It's a tremendous miracle that the child's able to come out. And at that time, all of her sins or good deeds are focused on. And we see, as Rashi explains over there, she's fit for a miracle to in fact occur. So we see from this that childbirth is a miracle. It's miraculous. The Rambam in his Moran of Uchim Chelik Beis Zayin, Rambam was probably one of the most well-known rabbis and well-known doctors. Even though the Rambam was incredibly great, in earlier generations there were certainly great doctors and great rabbis who were also rabbis, as we discussed in Parshas Mishpatim this past year. Nevertheless, the Rambam, there's a special endearment that people have for the Rambam. You see, there's a special in the medical field that certain doctors, they have certain plaques with certain phrases that the doctor should recite every single day, paragraphs, whatever. This is an interesting idea over here that will really bring out how miraculous the concept of childbirth truly is. Let's say, Mashal Maha Davidoima. Let's say you have a child who was born far away from regular habited land, born in an island, let's say. After he was born, his mother passed away. So his father the father raised this son, but on that island there were only males. There were no girls, there were no women, no females at all. So this young boy, after many years, he grows up and he becomes a man. So going through just a regular day, and then something pikes his curiosity. He asked the other men over there, how do we get created? How do we get here? How does that work? So one of the men responds, you should know. All of us, once upon a time, we were babies. And we came from the stomach of a woman. It's a type of person, a min adam. That's what a woman is. It's a bria hanirus b'doimalanu, creation that looks like us. And when we were in this stomach, we were very, very small. And we grew slowly when we were in the stomach until eventually there was a shar begufo shel isha. There's a gate, a passageway in of this mother. And through that gate, we came out to the world. So this boy became the man. Anyone who listened to this who never heard it before would say, what are you talking about? He said, you're making this up. You're joking with me? You're joking?
What?
Are you kidding around over here? So he asked another question. He says, wait a second. The boy asked, who turned into a man. How do you survive in there? How do you eat? How do you drink? How do you breathe? So the man said back, no, it's all taken care of. That's the way that it's created. You could survive without all that. So then the boy has a follow-up question. How's that possible? If you're not going to be able to breathe, even for a short amount of time, person can't live. You go underwater for more than a couple of minutes, you're not going to be able to live. So how could it be that we were in a stomach, completely enclosed, with no air, and remained there for many months? How does that work?
Hmm. This guy, no, this guy
If
didn't
any
have
of
any animals
us,
on.
what?
He also didn't have any animals on his
Oh, he did. So then he continues and he
r-
says, if we would swallow a small creature, small bird, whatever it is, eh, alive, you wouldn't be able to survive. The creature needs air. So how then would it be possible for a human to survive in a stomach? Furthermore, you're not going to eat or drink for a couple of days. How are you going to survive? If you can't go to the bathroom, how's it possible to survive? Person would die with Yisurim Gedolim, with a lot of afflictions. Be difficult. How then could we believe that a creature, a human, could survive there for so many months, enclosed, without food, without drinks, without any such possibilities? Can't open your eyes. What's going on over there? I just heard about a crazy case. There was a child locked in a truck for a year and a half. Some issue with I don't know, guy got caught. This is somewhere in Europe, and said that couldn't move his feet anymore. He wasn't wearing clothing when they found him. Apparently there was food there, there was excrement all over. I mean, crazy situations. It's miraculous. They said that he couldn't move his whatever, but a truck for a child is much bigger than a little fetus in the stomach, if you think about that. I mean, it's craziness what some people do in this world. Absolute craziness. What's
Wait,
the lesson
what
from
happened?
all of this that we could take with us? Obviously, we just dedicated a good 6, 7 minutes of our lives thinking about how miraculous the childbirth is. Everything that we just said, we all knew that before. Nothing's new. We just put it in an interesting story format. What's the lesson we could derive from this? We could learn out from this. The Nimshal is as follows. We are people who have belief. We have belief. We're ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim. We have traditions that date thousands of years back. Avram, Moshe, how this world is created. Kisheishes yamim asa Hashem es hashemayim yesod tu bayoim adri Shabbos vayi nafosh yiskadeh v'yiskadeh. The world was created in 6 days. We finished. 6 days. The entire universe was created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the Torah says. Comes along these philosophers such as Aristotle and say, wait a second, no, no, no. And they come with all the theories and everything like that. Those people, they can't also understand how a child could be created. But just like we said with the story with the child, we have to realize we can't fully comprehend Hashem. Can't do it. Right? And that's what they couldn't understand either. That's the idea over here. That's what we have to realize. We have to contemplate how amazing Hashem is. We have to realize that, a lot of times you see that when you have two opposing sides, they can't coexist together. The concept of unanswered questions or concepts which are difficult to comprehend. Everyone thinks nowadays they have to be answered, instant answers. No, no, no. Sometimes you could leave it as is. Teku, unanswered. Tishmi utarit kushmi bias. When Eliyahu Navi, when Mashiach comes, he will answer the question. The whole discussion why the Gemara says Eliyahu and not Moshe. But sometimes we have to realize that we have to leave it like that. But we have to also come to the realization that this is emes le'amisa. This is totally true. Just like this child, just like this fetus, we don't fully comprehend the situation. So too, creation of the world as well. To realize it's a Kadosh Baruch. They say anyone who's in the OBGYN field says it's amazing. Talking about that the fetus comes out of this shar, this gate. It's amazing how on a natural childbirth, it's something so big could just suddenly come out. It's such a small space. And not only that, but within basically a few months, 2 months or so, give or take, depending upon the exact case and scenario. But within 2 months, the gate just closes back up totally to it, the body heals itself. That's what a nurse once told me. I think it was a nurse or a doctor. It-
You know,
it's it's truly an amazing concept, you know? And you don't need to come onto the epidural. I'm not saying I'm against epidural in any way. I think most people say it's totally fine. Some people, whatever. They don't like it, but the point of the matter is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world that everything could be done automatically. You know, nowadays, obviously, with all of our medical knowledge, so we reduce the risk of a fatality during childbirth or other medical issues which could arise. But even thousands of years ago, that's it. It works. The body just heals itself. It's an amazing thing. Beginning of the parsha discusses the difference between if a male is born versus a female. And the Torah teaches us, Isha ki tazria v'yalda zachar, v'temeya shivas yamim kibei nidus tavasa titmu. Talking about if there's a male that's born, then there's a state of impurity for a duration of 7 days. 7 days, that's the situation of me. In our religion, we have a lot of sevens. 7 days of the week. But I'm going to tell you another seven, which we all know of. 7 days of Avelus. When someone passes away, there's a duration of 7 days of mourning. 7 days of intense mourning. This is talking about that there's Zayin Kroivim. There's a person's spouse, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister. If anyone in one of those 7 categories passes away, a person becomes an avel. He's a mourner. Avelus is very interesting because there's a death, hits the person, and halachas are very severe. Aninus, person's an onain before the burial. And then as time goes on, you have the shiva, which means 7 days of mourning. And then the halachas start to simmer down. They start to decrease and get easier. Shloishim, 30 days. And then for parents, you have the full year. And it starts to get more lenient as time goes on until the year is over. Then you go back to normal life, back to normalcy. The question is obvious over here, which is there any connection between these 7 days of mourning and the 7 days of tumah, these 7 days that a woman is impure after she gives birth to a boy? Before we answer this question, we should point out yet another question. When a person gets married, so it's a very happy time. There's something called a Sheva Brachos. 7 brachos for 7 days you feast. It's talking about if a person marries a basula, someone who wasn't married yet. So we have a lot of sevens,
You
which
still have, you still
polar
have, don't
opposites.
you? Or you don't?
What
Do
is
you have
that?
any? You have any? It's not sheva brachas, but you still have some certain number of brachas. If you're marrying a
Yeah, no, Mona, that's another discussion. Talking about a regular man. So what we
yeah.
have to discover over here, have to attempt to understand, is what's the connection between these seeming polar opposites? 7 days of mourning connecting to 7 days of happiness after getting married and the 7 brachos, connecting to 7 days of a woman being impure. What is the connection between the two?
Well, this is all referring to 1 week, isn't it? These are all 7 days. It's not like it's nothing beside. It's all seven. It's all seven. It's all referring to 1 week, right?
Yeah,
Most
one
of the
week.
thing is
7 days
connected
is
one
one
week.
week. Seven
It's
days of
connected.
Tumah. Yeah,
7 days. You know,
it's all
the
seven.
Shevrach is 1 week.
Yeah, it's all the same. 7 days
Shiva is one
equals
week.
1 week. It's a pretty simple mathematical equation, right?
So we
Okay.
have to go through this cycle.
All right. Comes along the Balaturim. Balaturim says an amazing concept. He says, compares the two. V'tameh shivas yamim v'zayin yemei avelus. Kol umo shaba kein yelech. Pasuk Koheles in Hey Tezvav. We are going to leave this world just like how we came into the world. We came into the world with nothing. Forget about the houses, forget about the yachts, forget about the private jets,
Helicopter.
forget the helicopter, that's for the poor. I'm not talking about the poor kids.
Helicopters.
Right? Forget about all the stuff. Came into this world with nothing. You're going to leave with nothing except for some clothing on you. That's it. That's it. Says the Baal HaTurim, person came into this world with 7 days of tumah. He's impure. That's how he's going to leave this world. 7 days of mourning. There's a connection between the two. That's the Paneach Razo also says this. So that's what we see from this. But why does a woman become tummy for 7 days? What is the root of the cause? Why is that so? They asked another question that could be asked is we know from the beginning of Maseches Tainus that Hashem has three keys, and He didn't give them over. Discussed over there what that means. He didn't give them over. Either it means no one has the full keychain, all three keys, or He didn't give over one of the keys forever. And one of those keys is childbirth, right? The other one is resurrection, and the other one is parnaso or rain, which causes a person's income to come. No one has those keys forever. You have people who temporarily had these keys. No one ever had the whole key chain, like we saw. Machlokes Rashi Taisus, the Maharsha explains, or no one ever have it forever. But what's the cause of this impurity? In order to answer that question, we have to go back to another question, which we all know the answer to. Why do women have such a painful childbirth? It's difficult, not just during the actual birth, but leading up to the birth also. Even with all the medicines nowadays, it's not a walk in the park.
Still make boxes?
So,
When I do all the boxes, so I should pick.
the reason why
How many
women are
is
in pain
resistant?
when
How
they
many
give
are?
birth is because of Chava, as we know. There's a sin, right? A sin. Sin from Chava. That caused death to result. There was no such concept of death. Everyone was immortal. This is why it's alluded to the impurity when a woman gives birth in the morning. Same thing. Because a woman's impurity comes as a result of the sin of Chava, like the Gemara Neirav in Daf Kuf. And also, so that's why they're compared to one another, because she caused the death, in other words. We discussed in Sefer Yeshua how there's a lot of sevens that are happening over here. Okay. 7 times you walked around the walls of Yericho. There's a custom when you're under the chuppah, when you get married, the kala walks around the chassan 7 times. There's a lot of sevens. And the Gemara in Barachos teaches us on that the great reward that awaits a person who's misameach chassan v'kala. You bring joy to one of your friends who's getting married at their wedding. This mitzvah. What a great thing. Why? The happiest time of the guy's life. Why does he need more happiness? Come to him a couple years later when he needs a little chizuk. Right? He realizes he got a girl, nice young girl. She comes back from seminary. She thinks she's Sarah Imenu. He got a nice boy. He thinks it's all good everything's gonna be great. Come to him 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line. That's when maybe he could use a little, like they talk about, these shalom bias marriage courses, whatever. Why specifically so obviously now we're entering into the realm of Sheva Brachas Torah. But it's not Sheva Brachas Torah, it's person for life or marriage. I'll share an idea that we discussed in Sefer Yeshua, and that I said that one of my own Sheva Brachos, the one on Shabbos, actually, I remember. And after I said it, my wife said, don't ever say that again.
Wow.
And that is because this idea connects the concept of getting married to death. Because we see a common denominator of 7. Now, this isn't a mere coincidence. This is the reality, but sometimes the reality hurts. But this is the reality. What's the connection between the 7 of getting married, the Sheva Brachos, the 7 days of rejoicing, to the 7 days of mourning. What's the connection? The Imam always in the beginning of Sefer Yeshua, I think he might even quote the Al Shach on this towards the beginning. We discussed this over there, recordings up there. Explains, you know what? Let's just zoom out a little bit about weddings. You know, it's a lot to say about weddings. Zoom out, zoom out. You know, everyone's got Zoom on their phones. You can see pictures better than zoom out. People may get married. It's a very happy time. Hundreds of people at a wedding. So let's say we attend the wedding, yeah? Most people, what do they do at a wedding? They eat, they
Eat.
drink, they schmooze, they talk to other people, they have a good time. There's a certain uh what additives? What's the word I'm looking for?
Celebration, levity.
Yeah, levity. There's a certain it's a happy environment. Everything's good. Sometimes the happiness could get a little too much. And to that,
Lightheartedness? No, what's
yeah,
I know.
lightheadedness, yeah,
No,
something like that, a
light
little
heart.
levity.
I don't know
So
what
to
the word is.
that, the rabbis teach us in the Gemara and Brachos, Lamed, Aleph, if I'm not mistaken, Tosfos over there says that's the custom came about to break the glass, to calm the situation down a little bit. Also to remember Yerushalayim. But the Gemara in Erev in Anun Dal, it says, Chatuf achlu, chatuf ushtei. Shmuel, Yehuda Shinana. Grab and eat, grab and eat, grab and drink. Ki haya alma kebei halulia damya. This world is like a chazan and this world is like a wedding. There's explanations on what that means. One explanation is you gotta learn as much Torah and perform as much mitzvahs as possible in this world. Because if you're gonna go to the wedding hall at midnight when it's over and ask for food, you're not gonna get anything. Same thing with this world. But there's another explanation, which is most people who are at a wedding, all they're thinking about is, I'm going to have a good time. Especially the people who are giving a gift for $100, whatever it is that they're giving. Thinking, let me get my money's worth, so to say. I got the carving board. I got the sushi station. I got all the whole American beautiful smorgasbord over here. Look at all the options, and they turn into a camel. Let me eat and drink as much as I could and keep it in me. Let me get as much as free food as I could, that's so to say. Yeah, they eat and drink, they have a good time. Guess what? If there's one dish that's messed up, if the flower arrangement was a little messed up, are they still going to get married? Yes. But if there's one line in the ksuba, if one of the witnesses is invalid, it's puzzle. You just spend 40, 50,000. I mean, whatever it is. Some people spend $250,000. Some people spend 30. Whatever it is that a person's spending, all of it was just a nice meal. They're not married. Not married, doesn't matter. So in this world, the unfortunate reality is that most people are just trying to eat and drink. They say, YOLO, you only live once. Live like there's no tomorrow, they say. Don't worry about you drink, you'll be hungover on Monday, it's all good. You'll figure it out. Don't worry about it, figure it out. Right? But the guy who's smart, so those are most people. But the one in 1,000, if I'm not mistaken, he says inside the Sefer, the one in 1,000 realize, wait a second, why am I getting married? Now, this is already for a deep thinker. I'm getting married because I know I'm not immortal. We're not here forever. So the guy says, wait a second. If I want my legacy to live on, if I want that to live on, what's it all worth? The hustle and bustle of the Big Apple over here. Why am I working so hard? What's it all for? I'm not going to take it with me after all, like we discussed before. Oh, I'm getting married because I want these ways to continue to live on. The next generation, that's the key. I want these ideas, these concepts. I want people learning Torah and doing mitzvahs the next generation. And therefore, I have to get married so I can have children. Comes out that we have a connection between the marriage and the mourning. Because the smart individual realizes forget about the whole show. Forget about all the stuff. Forget about all the food and the drinks. That doesn't matter. Like we said, if you have one thing wrong with one of the Eidim, they're not married, they're witnesses. The reason why I'm getting married is because I realize, morning, I realize 7 and 7, they're all equivalent. Why? Because I'm not going to live forever. Because there's death in this world. That's why I'm getting married. Oh, the smart guy. Now we need to be Mesameach b'chosan and Kala. Because we have a smart individual over here who realized that he's not going to live forever and therefore he has to have mourning. He's going to think about death. That's not healthy to think about death constantly. Yes, as a last resort, as the Gemara in Brachos relates over there on Hey. Hey Vav also with the Mesamechas and Kal. Yes, if a person is going to sin and he tried other options, so then last resort he should think about death. He's only here temporarily, but to always think about it, that's not healthy. That will lead to a bad mental state, bad state of mind. So therefore, but at the wedding, because we have a smart individual, he's thinking about death. That's why precisely we need to bring him joy and make sure that he's happy. That's one of the numerous reasons why we're Mesameach Chas and Kal. There's many reasons. So any of these, I thought that those were very interesting and important insights on childbirth, marriage, and some of these other concepts that we discussed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Tazria. It's a double parsha. And we gotta go to Masorah. In the past, we discussed a lot on Tazria about Mila, and also in Sefer Yeshua in the 5th parak, we discussed about Mila. A lot of very relevant questions pertaining to Mila. Why is it specifically on the 8th day doing the circumcision with stones versus knife in the time of Yeshua, right? So why exactly would be the difference, and many other very relevant points pertaining to Mila, for example. Why were we created incomplete? That now we need to finish the job, so to say, for specifically by males also is a question. So there's a lot of relevance also over there. Okay, so Mitzvah Shem Torah, we'll continue. Have a wonderful day. Yeah.
When
Sure.
back?
Yeah. We got
Sunday?
yeah.